I love my gold jewelry, rings, watches, necklaces, earrings, you name it. I love it. If it's gold, I love it. I want it and I want to wear it. I'm not married to an Indian, and for the life of me, my husband cannot figure out this obsession that my family and I have with gold because at a family function, everybody's in gold earrings, even the guys, they gold chains, Kruger coins. That's gold. We love it, and that's what we're all about. But when it comes to investments, I prefer silver rather than gold. And in this episode of the Wealth Nation podcast, I'm going to tell you why.
Welcome to the Wealth Nation podcast, a podcast for every mother, daughter, grandmother, sister, and wife, and the men who are smart enough to tune in. The Wealth Nation podcast brings you all you need to know about investments, business, property investments, personal finance, and all around financial wellness. Here is your host, Yolanda Rose.
Thanks for joining me on another episode of the Wealth Nation podcast. I am Yolanda Rose. Hello, if we're just meeting, welcome to the Wealth Nation podcast. Every week on the show, I give you easy, actionable tips, content, and strategies that you can use to manage your money well and to build generational wealth. So if you're new here, please subscribe to this podcast on whichever podcasting app that you're listening to right now. And also link up with us on social media. It's Financially Fabulous Females on all the major platforms, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube. Reach out, check out our content, very different content on each one of those platforms. The Wealth Nation podcast is sponsored by Audible. Audible is a seller and producer of spoken audio entertainment, information, and educational programming on the internet. Audible sells digital audiobooks, radio and TV programs, and audio versions of magazines and newspapers. For a 30-day free trial of Audible, go to www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com/audible. Now, as you know, every week on this podcast, we try to bring you some understanding from the world of finance, and we try to break down some financial terminology. And today, since we're talking about gold and silver investments, I thought I'd bring to you, I thought we'll talk about a little bit about the gold price. And if you listen to the radio, I don't know if you guys still listen to that, but when I drive, especially with the Indian radio stations here in Durban, when you hear the news and you hear the price of oil and the rand dollar exchange, another price that comes up is the price of gold. Now, gold is a very sought after metal. It's not just for investment purposes and jewelry, but it's also used in production of electronics and medical devices as well. So, how is gold used in finance other than production? Well, firstly, a lot of central banks, the banks of various countries, hold gold as a reserve and as well as the dollar as well. So, they hold bars and bars, rooms and rooms and rooms of gold. That's the wealth of the country. And in a few countries, well, back in the day, it used to be whatever money that was in circulation in the country, it used to be backed by gold in the reserve. And that doesn't happen anymore. In 1971, the United States went off the gold standard. In, I think it was 1931 or 1932, General Jan Smuts, he took South Africa off the gold standard. So we no longer had to have gold in our reserve with the equal amount of value of currency that's circulating in the economy.
Raising financially savvy children involves teaching them a variety of skills, from budgeting to planning to earning and saving. Besides giving them an understanding of the value of a rand, it prepares them for real-world finances. Financial literacy is a vital skill, and it is never too early to teach your kids about money. Many parents wonder how they can teach their kids about money and where to find age-appropriate resources. You can now purchase the Financial Literacy for Kids workbook, which is aimed at primary school kids. It's now available at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com. This workbook provides you with 12 lessons, activities, lesson plans, discussion points, and quizzes that you can use to test your kids' knowledge. Shop now at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com.
Like what you hear so far? Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Tuned In. Now back to the show.
So gold prices are basically supply and demand. So as the demand for jewelry, industrial demand increases, the gold price increases. A lot of the time, an investor like me, we would buy gold in the form of coins. I'm not going to have rooms full of gold now. I'm not in that place yet. Hopefully soon. But you buy gold as protection against inflation. It's one of the nicest and safest investments you could possibly get. And we've got paper assets now for gold and silver. It's nothing that you can touch or smell. It's just a bunch of numbers in the computer. South Africa is one of the major players in gold mining in the world. And gold production affects the price of gold. I check the rand dollar exchange rate, I check the oil price, and I check the price of gold and silver. Because it's a form of wealth. And if you are collecting these precious metals, this is how you tell how wealthy you are. And it's a great hedge for inflation. So enough about gold, and we're going to talk a little bit about gold's poorer cousin today, and that's silver. And silver is very underrated. I'm not a fan of silver jewelry, but give me gold, I'll take it any time. But when it comes to building wealth and investments, I'd pick silver over gold any day. And one of the reasons I would do that is the volatility of the silver price. Now, silver is drastically priced much less than gold because demand is a lot less for silver than compared to gold. But the price volatility is far higher. When the price drops, it drops at a lower rate than gold. But when it increases at a higher rate than gold. So although there's a price difference when it comes to value, when you're running the numbers, it actually makes more sense, because if it drops at a lower level, you can purchase it at a better rate with a lot less money. And when it does rise again, it's rising at a higher level. So that spread, that difference in profitability, it gives you a bigger bang for your buck rather than investing in gold. Gold supply is also a fraction of that of gold. So there's really an abundance of gold as compared to silver. And silver is not just a precious metal. I mean, I know people do wear silver jewelry, but it doesn't compare to gold. But its industrial use, its commercial use is huge. In fact, Tesla, Elon Musk's Tesla, each Tesla has about 3 kgs of silver in that vehicle. I mean, for production purposes. Silver is all about that volatility, and you can't be emotional about that volatility. It's key to be watching those prices. Buy when it's low, sell when it's high. And that's how you make a far greater profit. And one thing that you should be looking at is the gold and silver ratio. The ratio of gold to silver when it comes to purchasing power. Please check out my YouTube channel, Financially Fabulous Females, because that is one thing. I watch the gold and silver ratio rather than the silver price. That's my indicator. And once a certain threshold is met, I'll switch over. I will sell my silver and I'll go into gold. So if you want to know what those thresholds are, at what point do you swap over from gold to silver, check out my YouTube channel for that video. Another reason why I prefer silver over gold when it comes to investments is that silver is a lot more affordable. Silver price right now is sitting at around $24.50 an ounce, whereas gold is $1,850 an ounce or so. Could jump, could drop at any time. But that's where they're sitting at. I mean, anybody can afford an ounce of silver. Silver Kruger coins are a thing now. I've stopped. Usually I buy American Eagles or British Britannias, but now that we have silver Kruger coins, that's what I buy. Krugers are one of the most widely traded forms of personal gold in the world. Bigger than any other coin, bigger than the Americans, the Australians, the British. None of them can touch us when it comes to their coins compared to the Kruger. And now you have a very affordable 1 ounce silver piece and anybody can buy. My kids hold silver coins. That's how affordable silver is. So you can literally hold this piece of silver in your hand. And it's a far easier entry point. If you've never invested in precious metals before, it's a far easier entry point for you where you can easily buy a 1 ounce silver coin for around $700-800 at the current trading price of silver. And one of the nicest things I love about silver is when it comes to paper assets. For example, let's say you're in a fund, in a unit trust, Allan Gray balanced. So when that fund makes money, you got to pay taxes on it, right? Dividends, withholding taxes. If that fund is holding cash, you got to pay you got to pay your taxes on the interest that you receive on the cash within limits, of course. But when it comes to gold, when the gold price soars, Nobody's taxing you. You only get taxed at the point where you trade the gold, when you sell the gold. So that's one of the nicest things I love about gold. The demand for silver right now is increasing dramatically. In fact, there's a greater demand for silver. So silver stockpiles are falling and golds are rising. So there's just a greater demand. And you might not see it when it comes to the pricing, but it's an important thing to watch. Remember, when it comes to gold and silver, these are raw. They're from the earth. It's a finite supply. It's not like shares where you can go and divide and split and everything. But gold, it's not like money. Governments are just doing quantitative easing. They're printing and printing and printing. And that's causing massive amounts of inflation. But gold and silver, it's a limited amount. And there's even less silver than there is gold. And the demand for silver is rising. In fact, the only countries right now that are holding silver as a form of wealth is the United States, India, and Mexico. One of the reasons that governments don't really hold silver is that it's no longer used in coinage like it was back in the day. It's mostly an industrial metal. But like I said, it's finite. The value is increasing. And while the demand isn't there as yet, you as a savvy investor can easily get into the silver market and start accumulating silver coins. You can easily get 4 or 5 silver coins a month and put it away to hedge inflation, to hedge the rand, and possibly even top out the dollar in about 10, 15 years' time. If at any time governments start buying silver for any reason, it's going to have a huge impact on the market. Demand would spike dramatically. The price will skyrocket. So those are my reasons for being a primarily silver investor rather than a gold investor. So if you're keen to know more about precious metals investing, sign up for the Investor Masterclass that happens a little later on this month. Go to www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com and you'll be guided to that sign up page where I'm giving you the 5 investments that every South African needs to have. And we'll definitely be talking about precious metals because it's hard not to have it. As a country, we mine so much. You can't not be in the precious metals and jewels and gems mix when it comes to building an investment portfolio. All right, so look out for the video on the gold and silver ratio on YouTube. Until next week, I'll chat to you then.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to visit our website at www.financiallyfabulousfemales.com and sign up for our free investment masterclass.